everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome.
Welcome.
We're going to let this ride out for a little bit. We're going to let it play.
I want to spend my life with you.
That's what I'm talking about.
They say
A little bit of Al Green to start off the interview. Welcome to the Ben and Jay Show. I am one half, the smaller half of this conglomerate. I am Jay. The man that you see, the myth, the legend, that's in the picture is Ben. Ben, what's up, man? What's going on? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm sad about those Eagles, but I'm happy about those Phillies. I mean, the Phillies could make the playoffs, so.
I don't want to talk about the Eagles all day, but still, I'm sad about the Eagles as well. Things happen. It is what it is. As you can tell, we are very excited for our guest today. Has some good music to start off the interview. So let's pay these bills by saying that this webinar is made possible by Access Services. Access Services is a nonprofit serving 11 counties in eastern Pennsylvania, and their mission is to create better ways to serve people with special needs. They've been doing it for 44 years and only expanding their services as they bend to fit the needs of those in eastern Pennsylvania. So, Ben, we have a very, very special guest. But first, for those who may not know who you are, of course, everybody knows you, but just in case, can you tell them a little bit about yourself, Ben?
So my name is Ben Hartranft. I'm a 22-year-old on the autism spectrum. I was diagnosed at the age of 2. I am the host and the founder of the Ben and Jay Show, and I started this show during quarantine because I wanted to not have people felt alone. And I was a guest on the Ellen DeGeneres show. I was also honored to carry the Super Bowl trophy for the Philadelphia Eagles. And when we talked last week about like ideas and dreams for our show, we want to be able to connect out there. We want to be able to tell our stories out to other people. So I'm so grateful that I can work with Access Services. I'm so grateful to help others. And I do believe God has a great plan, and He is incredible.
There you go. There you go. Well, Ben was being somewhat modest, so I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my story because it's so much to unpack with his. But my name is Jamel Owens. I am, like I said, the smaller half of this conglomerate of the Ben and Jay Show. A lot of you guys know me from my own personal platform, which is the Awesome Show. I started this platform basically to give fathers an opportunity to process their feelings when it comes down to the diagnosis of their child. What I was doing on online radio was bringing on local guests, local mothers, local fathers, caretakers, professionals, artists, rap artists, speaking about their children being on the spectrum and how their actual feelings were. From that, I transpired up to where I live at right now, which is Hatfield. North Philly born and raised, but transpired right up to Hatfield. And one of my guests that was on the show was actually Ben and his father, Glenn. So since having them on my show, we kept in touch. And during the COVID-19 situation, Ben reached out to me and said, hey, I want to do this show. I want to give back. And I was feeling the same. So I jumped right on board, of course, because Ben is the man. And here we are. COVID-19 strong, I guess you could say. We've been doing it since the beginning of COVID-19, and we are continuing to do it. And the reason why is because we don't want anyone to feel alone. There is a whole universe out there that we have to explore, and we will continue to do so. And we will not forget you guys in the process. So that's a little bit about the Ben and Jay Show. But today's guest is really going to challenge you. And the reason why I say this is because, well, you know what? I don't want to sit there and go too much in it. I just want to basically give out the title, Neurodivergent Rebel. I love that. I love that part of that characteristic right there. Rebel. I love it. Let's look a little bit at some of the footage from Neurodivergent Rebel, and you'll get the gist of exactly where I'm coming from.
Hey everybody, Neuro Rebel here. I am back this week, and recently I had asked you guys what topics you wanted me to share or cover on the channel, and y'all had a lot of requests talking about diagnosis. And last week we talked about self-diagnosis. This week I'm going to share with you some information about my own personal diagnosis journey and what that experience was like for me personally. So we're going to dive in. So I was diagnosed autistic at the age of 29 because I was actually struggling from autistic burnout. However, I didn't know this was something that had a name at the time. I was getting sick with a familiar illness that has actually come around multiple times throughout my life. It has neurological symptoms. I feel like I'm swimming through soup. I am a shallow, empty shell of myself, and I get sick to my stomach. I stop eating, and I deteriorate and have migraines, amongst other things that are really not pleasant. And so, the doctor's appointments were exhausted going to the physical doctor's appointments. Eventually, I was referred to someone to talk about my anxiety and mental health because the doctor was out of ideas, and I started my diagnostic process. I didn't know I was autistic until I was almost 30, and it actually was quite a shock, but at the same time, all of a sudden, a lot of things in my life suddenly made sense. And one of those things that suddenly made a lot of sense was stimming. I was so excited when I found out about stimming because I am a very, very stimmy autistic person, and it was really great to learn more about something that has always been a very big part of my life. So first, what is stimming? We'll do this medical definition, and I've got my sparkly, glittery, stimmy notebook here with my medical definition written down and my notes to keep me on track because I'm autistic. Executive functioning, I struggle to keep myself going in order, so notes. So the medical definition of stimming: self-stimulatory behaviors usually involving movements or sounds.
Wow, there are so many things running through your mind right now after seeing these videos, and it should be. What I have to ask from you at this time is a moment of your thinking position. I want you to transform from thinking from your mind to actually unpacking and thinking from your heart when you're listening and also just responding to your mind about this interview. Okay. It was said by an unknown author that what's the point of having a voice if you're going to be silent in those moments you shouldn't be? Unknown, but it's very provocative and very much to this day. They have not been silent. No one on the autism spectrum has been silent. The thing about it is that we've been overlooking them for so long. And the thing about it right now in this generation, and thank God I've been able to actually witness this, is there's no more silence. It's time to speak up. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Neurodivergent Rebel, excuse me. Thank you for joining us. We are blessed to have you here. The reason why is because I like to transform the way of thinking, starting with the heart first. Ben is the same way. So you are really an intricate part of that, and we want to thank you for taking time out to actually be here out of your busy schedule. So thank you for that. Thank you for blessing us with your presence today. Ben, you got the first question. Buddy.
Here we go. First of all, I would like to know how we can make your you comfortable during this interview? What would you like for us to call you during the interview? What pronouns should we use?
Oh yeah, thanks. Thank you so much for asking. Neutral actually is my preference.
What? Great. Thanks for being patient and open with us about that. And of course, being here on the Ben and Jay show, can you give me a little bit about your growing up and where you were diagnosed?
Yeah, so I am from Central Texas, and I actually wasn't diagnosed until I was an adult. So I went through, I was 29 years old when I finally found out I was autistic. And, when you don't know you're autistic, you don't have there's something different. You
Mhm.
notice little things, but you don't really know what the difference is and
Yeah.
how different things are. And so, for me, I didn't know until I had this label later in life what that really was and how much of an impact that actually had on me,
Hmm.
day to day.
Wow. Um, First off, you're from Texas. I happen to be born from Harris County, Houston, Texas. So
Okay.
salute to my fellow Texan on the other
Yeah.
side. I appreciate that. That's a good look. That's definitely a good look. So many of people are not familiar with your work, who you are, and may not understand why Ben asked that question in the beginning. What would you like to be called? What pronouns would not like to be used? Who is neurodivergent rep? Who is that individual, and who do you represent, and why do you represent
Yeah. Well, who do I represent? I would say, I represent everyone that's kind of gone missed and has been under the radar, or anyone who is at that self-discovery point, I think, in their life. When I was diagnosed, I wanted more information. There wasn't a lot out there after I was diagnosed to kind of tell me what's next or what I should do or even how to advocate for myself or any of that. And then you go to the internet and you start plugging in Google, and your results are very gloom and doom. There,
them?
it's a little better now than it used to be, but this is about 4 years ago since I was diagnosed, and I disagreed with a lot of it. It
Hmm.
was just very cold, very medical, not very human at all, and it, it didn't seem funny to me that it would be missed, because even reading back the medical language now, I know more what the medical language actually means, but it's very hard to see yourself that way because it's a very one-sided model. It talks about all the problems and all the
Yeah.
difficulties, and it really is kind of a picture of an autistic person in distress. And there have been times in my life, depending on, circumstances, the supports I have in place, a lot of different factors where, that ability to, maybe even hit that diagnostic criteria kind of goes in and out, because it's like, if I'm not struggling and I'm having in good mental health and I'm fully supported, it's really easy to be missed. But then it's like, take away one or more of those supports and things fall apart really quickly. And we're at that crucial point when we're discovering we're autistic. It's like, is this going to be one of two roads? It's going to be a good road where we can, learn what this means for us, take the knowledge and let it empower us, or is it going to be the road where we say, oh no, I'm a broken person and this makes me broken and I'll always be broken. And I didn't want anyone to go down that other road. It's not a good place to be.
Hmm.
Hmm. It's first off, it's amazing that you are still just worried about other people. Now, I've known, probably just from my personal experience, me being diagnosed with a physical ailment on my right leg, and people judging me and gawking at me, and just pure ignorance, that you've probably experienced. Hopefully not, but let's just be real. You may have experienced a little bit of that, but you still continue to push to
Yeah.
help others not go down the same path that you have been. That speaks volumes to me, because that's, once again, that's what we do here at the Ben and Jay show. That's what I do from the awesome show. So once again, when I'm asking people when they're going through this interview and they're listening to you and they're just visually looking at you,
Hmm.
to really, really look, listen, and feel with their heart and not with their eyes, because the eyes are quick to tell you something, quick to tell you
Oh
something.
yeah.
It may be something that we may not understand. Like I said, I experienced this. People look at me automatically at my leg and they be like, ew, what's that? How is that? What is that on your body? Is that your leg? They're quick with their eyes, but they're slow with their heart. So it is really refreshing to hear you actually say that, you are putting forth the effort to make sure that people are not going down the dismal path that you had gone down, because once again, you're speaking about humanity. So I just want to applaud you with that. That's something that really, amongst your whole answer, that's something that really stuck out to me. So I appreciate you for that. I really do.
Oh, you're just trying to leave things a little better than you found them, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Every day we got to do it. Every day, right, Ben?
Yes, sir.
You got the next question, Ben. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, you have the next question, or did you say it already?
Yeah, I said it. So you got a
Oh,
question?
never mind. Okay, I was zoned off. I apologize. Is there anyone else in your family that has been diagnosed? Do they think is genetic?
You know, I'm the only one with a formal diagnosis. But I will say that looking around at the other people that are close to me, there are definitely things that, I see in myself
Hmm.
that are mirrored in other people and other family members that are, that's like I get it from somewhere. I can definitely say looking around at the people I'm related to, it comes from somewhere. Even down to like, certain sensory processing issues and even certain sensory sensitivities are very similar with me and a few different family members on one side of my family. So I definitely see it, and even ironically, there's some people I think in my family that are struggling a little bit more and would probably benefit from accommodations that don't have the diagnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel very fortunate to have been diagnosed at all. In general, we actually really do have a really big diagnostic disparity in, rural areas and in, small towns and in minority communities and, people who are maybe, that they're lower income communities, the kids are probably labeled behavior problems instead of
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed. And I mean, myself too, in school, a lot of me probably needing help and being overwhelmed and overloaded was dismissed as a behavior problem,
Okay.
as well. So there's all of that too, where it's like people are like, oh, when you have relatives that maybe are potentially undiagnosed on the spectrum, and then they've got this child that is undiagnosed on the spectrum as well, it's like, oh, well, all of those things are normal. I do that. There's nothing wrong with that child. Not that there's anything wrong per se, anyway, but when someone's coming at you suggesting, oh, there may be something going on with your kid, the parent's gut instinct is like, there's nothing wrong with my child. How dare you say something is wrong with my child? It's like, no, 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 didn't say there's anything wrong, but people have that initial reaction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Before we go on to the next question, Ben, talking about learning how to talk, I want to piggyback what you just said. It's amazing. People, I want you to realize that this is a person always in a different state that's really realizing what some of the issue is. I'm not going to say the whole thing, but diagnosis within minority communities, low income communities, things like that. These are a very big issue, and I say that because I've come from that community. So I have friends, I have people that have messaged me and called me and been like, my child is really doing some not so normal things. So I wonder, can you tell me like maybe they may be on the spectrum? And the first thing I try to do when people reach out to me is tell them like, first off, you're doing an amazing job as a parent. And I might not know the situation. I really may not know, but I need to calm them down first. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I explain to them what I noticed from my son when I was going before the process of having him diagnosed, what I was noticing, some things that really seemed off to me. And then I would explain it to them, but I will always end with, go get them tested. Don't go with your gut. Go get them tested, because it is a known fact. Human species, once we know something viable in front of us has been tested and we have the results, we seem to put an end to that and move on in a positive direction. That's anything that you do in life. It happens. So if you don't know you're going to get paid from working the gig and you're up all night just worrying about you getting money, and then you get that paycheck, all right, great. I got paid, whew, sigh of relief. I'm on to the next positive thing. Same thing happens when it comes down to a diagnosis. So when you actually just said that, it made me smile, because this is one of the things that we're trying to hit home with right now, is really speaking out to the Black and brown communities, but not specifically them, but also to low income communities, which is really a lot. There are a lot out there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to get them to actually be comfortable with stepping up, asking questions, and saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get my child, tested. So thank you for realizing that there's a need, for that. And I really do. Once again, I appreciate your thought and your words. It's amazing. Thank you. You're making me
There's a
smile
big
over.
need. There's a big need. Yeah. And that's, I mean, the access to that, that information that really is, essential, life-changing information
Mhm.
that you need to know, for it to be unavailable to so many people is really kind of one of the biggest problems I think we have right now that we need to be addressing.
Bro, bro,
Mhm.
bro. Go ahead, Ben. You got the next one. I know you want to talk about how you learned to talk and everything.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback on what you said real quick about that.
Uh-huh.
What question? We on 4, right? We're on number 4. All right. Oh no, we finished it. Okay. So no, I wanted to piggyback on what you said that real quick. Um, so I learned how to talk when I was 3. And I didn't know what to do. Like, basically they taught me I want a cookie, and then that literally broke it open for me, and I did it, and that's how I learned how to say that stuff. Before I put something in the animal game,
Okay.
I had to say a sentence, and that literally broke it open. So I know how to talk today. It's amazing.
That's good. That's good.
Oh,
That's good.
awesome.
That's good. You got the next question, Ben.
Yes. Tell your audience about your story learning to talk. About what age did you start to talk? Start to
Yeah.
talk.
Is there more? Is that it? That's the question? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is maybe another reason I was potentially missed as well, is I started reading and speaking both early
Hmm.
simultaneously. I was one of those hyperlexic children, the little professor speakers with the big vocabulary. And so really how it happened is, I remember, I have a lot of memories from actually being very young, like even under a year old, believe it or not. And I remember, like my adults in my family would read to me all the time, and they would be putting their fingers under the words. And when I was little and didn't understand what was going on, I thought that was how they were talking. They'd touch the word and it would let them talk or something. And I was like, these words are magic. I need to learn how to do them. So I was really, our autistic interests, they say we're known for them. We get really interested in something and it's all we focus on. And words and writing and books were kind of one of my first
Yeah.
original interests as a little person when I was still probably small enough to wander around chewing on cardboard books. It was, I was already hooked on them. And so, my parents, my grandparents and my mom would tell the story often of a road trip where I was looking at a map in the back of the car and I was, reading cities on the map. And then I was like, oh, HEB, and reading the exit signs. And they were like, wait, when did they learn that? They were totally like shocked and surprised, but I had just been studying on my own. And so,
Oh,
learning to unlock the vocabulary, word by word,
yeah.
has kind of helped me learn, I think helped me learn to speak as
Yeah.
well.
Absolutely.
But then I wasn't reading phonetically. I want to be very clear with that. So like when I would try and write words, like I would write dog as God and things backwards and things, and cat like because it was a picture. It's still like I was memorizing the word as each word was an individual picture. So I wasn't like, I didn't have someone teaching me to sound out the words. It was just someone would say the word and I would remember that that was the word that went with that picture. Or I had also a lot of those, those little cassette tapes that you would listen to with the book, and you would, I had Goodnight Moon, I remember was one of them, and there were some others, on replay, I'm surprised that didn't wear the tapes out on those things. But I was just like, that was it. That was all I wanted to do, was sit alone with my books and my audio tapes.
Wow. That's
I just
amazing.
wanted to piggyback on what you said, Christa. I was in 3rd and 4th grade. I told the story many times. And the school gave up on me, and they said, you're never going to read or write. And basically, that was very unacceptable. And my parents did take the school district up to the school board, and they were like, my son needs to read and needs to know how to learn and write. So we found a private school called the Talk Institute out in Philadelphia, Newtown Square. So I'm so thankful for them. And they taught me from a kindergarten to a 2nd grade reader. 2 years at that school. And 3rd grade, I could only read kindergarten books. So that was very unacceptable of the school to do that. But a quote from Frederick Douglass, when you learn how to read, you're forever free to know how to read. So I'm very grateful that we can know that reading is very important to be successful, to use tools.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
Definitely, Ben. Definitely, your story. Your story, Ben, is simply amazing. I mean, you tell it over and over again, but no one can get tired of hearing that because, just like I have my son Shane. He reads. He loves to read. He actually loves school. He has a test tomorrow. He's just excited about. It's about geography. So he's been telling me all weekend, and that's just simply amazing. I can't tell you he got it from me. I'm not going to say I was the best student in class, but it is what it is. But it's simply amazing. And to find
I
out,
love reading books. I love history books. History books. I mean, I'm not into like fairy tale, like Harry Potter, or stuff
okay,
like that. I'm into like real novel history books. Like I read about Stalin and World War One during the Tsar and the King's Day. I
there you
read
go.
about World War II books about some different stuff. And I'm a big history guy, so I read about Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad.
There you go.
Yeah. So that one, I love that book because it talks about Civil War. It talks about like what we were living through back in the Civil War day, and I love different kinds of books. Jamel, you made me think I should start reading at night because I need to start reading.
There you go. Nothing wrong with picking up a good book and cracking it open and reading.
Oh, reading is the key to be successful. So I love reading.
There you go. There you go. That is the truth. So I am the person who normally breaks the ice or confronts the elephant in the room with my questions. So here we go. Here's the question. How long have you been educating the public with your videos? And there is one particular video that stands out to me, and it's entitled, Is There a Connection? This is where you speak about the scientific research linking those who are transgender and gender diverse people to autism. Can you enlighten us a little bit about your perspective? First off, how long you've been doing what you do so amazingly, but more importantly, your perspective on that particular connection.
Yeah. So I started making videos pretty soon after I started the blog. I did originally think I was going to start in writing because I actually prefer to write, and I do like a lot of like writing and planning, and the videos are actually really more planned out than they probably look. But so it's been about, maybe 3.5 years or so since I've been making videos, and the blog is about 4 years old now. But when I originally started to come on the internet, I spent a lot of time on Twitter, and actually autistic Twitter, and I did a lot of polls.
Name on Twitter? I gotta look it up real quick because I keep.
Oh
forgetting.
yeah, Neuro Rebel on Twitter. Yeah,
Neuro. Can you spell it out for me? N E
Neuro
U R O
Rebel.
R B E
Rebel.
R E R
Yep.
E B E L.
There you go.
Correct.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
No.
You
Neuro
sure?
Rebel. Let me try.
Okay.
Neuro Rebel.
It might be
Um,
hard to get Siri or to recognize that one.
can you just
Um,
repeat it again? Sorry. Go ahead. Oh, it's N
Neuro.
E N N E
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Neuro, like neuro, like brain, and then
N
rebel,
E
Rebel.
R B E A L
Rebel.
R E B A L
EL.
E
EL.
E L E L.
Yep.
Nope.
You found it?
We'll have to send you a link afterwards. I'll get
Yeah,
you in there.
yeah. We'll make sure Ben gets on that. Ben is
Yeah.
really, really specific about making sure he gets it right. So we make sure my
Okay.
guy gets on there. But go ahead, you can
Sorry.
finish with your response. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we're good. So, I started, with Twitter, as we were saying, and, interacting with the community really, and trying to really see, I'm a person that notices patterns and things and connections. And, I was looking for commonalities and other people like me. And once I got in there, it was really, to me personally, I felt it was pretty obvious that there was a connection in the autistic community. There are a lot of people who are not just trans, but also identify as LGBTQ. And I think that's really interesting. And I've always had a few different theories about this. And, it doesn't even do any good to put theories because it's a very unproven thing until we started to see data and research come out, finally this year, which is only what, 3 years later, almost 4 years later, we're starting to see data. And that's what always is, I think, has been happening. I noticed like the autistic people are saying, hey, this is a thing. And then science will come out a few days later and say, this is a thing. And we're all like, yeah, we've been saying that's a thing, for years, but finally science catches up to the human experience.
Mhm.
And so this is just one of those things that I think, there's a lot of us, and there's so many speculations and theories, and personally, I think we are more willing to question things. I mean, by diagnosis, even we are not going with the norm or swimming with the stream. We're kind of against the
Yeah.
stream kind of people.
I like that.
And so a lot of us, I think, when we have these things, we're willing to say, I don't agree with society on this, and we don't understand why we should hide ourselves, or why we should, we're not really good at like just going along with the flow when we don't agree.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's that there really are more of us, or we're just more open.
Mhm.
But but maybe there really are more of us, and so we're going to see more studies and more science come out, I'm sure, over the next few years. So it's really interesting to see. And I want to stress, correlation doesn't necessarily mean causation. We know there's correlation, and we don't know you know a lot about why, or it's very preliminary, early data and early studies, but it's just really interesting to see science catching up.
But
It really is. Once again, we devote a lot of I guess probability to science when the most specific, precise instrument that we can use is our own personal experience. So I think people are really starting to really gauge science and be like, oh well, I beg to differ. Back when I was, such and such, and they go into their story and they talk about it, they have pretty much a good hypothesis about the subject at hand. So it's refreshing to hear your perspective on that. I know you speak loudly and proudly about that, which is simply amazing. That is something that is needed because once again, look at the turmoil that we're in this world right now. We need more people to listen. And I think the more that people are able to speak out and speak out with good intentions, it will allow people to listen, with better intentions in their heart and in their mind. So, definitely I wanted to ask you that question because I found it quite intriguing, but I kind of threw the science out. I just really focused in on what you were saying, and what you were saying, it spoke to me. So I thank you for, pushing the envelope when it comes down to that and everything that has to do with autism. So autism is outside the box. We're still looking in the box to try and diagnose it and see where it's coming from, and we will never find it that way. We will never
I have
find
a
it.
question, Jamel.
Go ahead.
So Kristen, do you like writing articles and stuff? And that's pretty cool what you do. I have some ideas how we can connect and stuff, but maybe we can work together on maybe working on some articles, or maybe working on talking with famous people. I don't know.
Let's definitely stay in touch. I do write articles and do videos. Writing is really my passion. I've had to make myself uncomfortable to actually do videos because that's actually what the internet wants, for a format. It's a lot of people learn by having a video, because we are people who learn in different ways. Some people are more visual learners, and some people are more auditory learners, and some people learn from reading. With the videos, it lets me do video with a transcript, and so I can accommodate more kinds of learners. And so that's why, I actually really had a huge fear of public speaking. One of my best friends, who I saw recently, she'll remember that, before this all started, like, I was really afraid of public speaking. And now, I go and, well, not now that, apocalypse has happened, but before that, I was, I'd gotten over the fear. I was doing public speaking. I was pushing myself to do things I never thought I would do. But all that comes from writing, because a lot of it's writing first and being able to organize my thoughts externally on, a computer and then get them out.
It's crazy that you say that because I cannot see that. And I'm sure the audience, when they check you out on your actual YouTube page, they're never going to guess that you were afraid to actually speak in front of the camera, yet alone people. You really mastered that. And it's simply amazing because it's like, I can see your personality right now. But when you're in front of that camera in your episodes, like your whole personality, your whole soul, everything comes out in that. So it's like, it's almost like I'm your best friend. Like we're talking via Skype, and you're just telling me so many different things. And I think that really makes your channel stick out more than just about any other channel, even mine. I just get that personal level with you, and it's amazing. So you saying that, I really don't believe it. I don't think you were ever at that position, but you're you can only say what you feel. So definitely with that, what is a message that you would like to get out to the world?
I was going to
In the
say that.
times that we're in, what is that message?
I think, it depends on the audience, or maybe everyone. I would say for autistic people, I've realized from talking to a lot of autistic people, and this is something even I've experienced personally, a lot of us, we are really hard on ourselves. And I think this is universal for humanity. We're really hard on ourselves, and we are harder on ourselves than we are on any other person out there. Our internal monologue, we realize we would say things to ourselves that we would never say to another person. And so I think it's just really like people to realize you're capable of so much more than you really realize you're capable of. And sometimes it may take you longer to get to something, or to get something done, or to master or learn something. But, eventually, some things just seem like it takes forever to learn. You can learn. I feel like, like you were talking about the public speaking, as I shot those videos from the beginning, they felt really weird and awkward to me shooting them. But then by the end, it got to where it felt so much easier. And that's just because it's practice, and I've done it a million times now. It's like every time you do something, it gets a little bit easier because you're getting skill, and you're learning, and you're getting practice under your belt. And so, once I realized that, it was like my life hack. I was like, okay, I can learn almost anything eventually, because every time you practice, you get a little bit better at, whatever it is you're trying to learn or do. And it's kind of cheesy, but it's one of those silly, sappy things. I think it's a good lesson for people to know. It's like, you're capable of more than you realize. It might take a while, but you are.
You are. Simply put, you are. And that's a message out to the airwaves, out to the universe. We just sent that well, you just sent that message, but we're co-signing on that message, and it's an amazing message. It's something that I believe in totally, and it's something that speaks volumes on volumes. And once again, we're not just talking about those individuals on the spectrum, but even individuals that are not on the spectrum, individuals like myself who, just like many people, have sat there and trying to really find their way at life and what they do. I don't know. I'm following, what God placed on my heart for me to do. And I'm chasing this dream for my son. I'm trying to leave him a legacy that he can just view at a click of a button and see what his dad has been doing with his time, and leaving that mark. But, your words are powerful. What you're doing right now is very powerful. You're going against a lot of people who are scared of the power that you have in you. And the power that you have in you is simply love. That's all it is. You just want people to understand. And that comes with love. That comes with opening the heart. So simply amazing. Simply amazing. You definitely got me as a fan. I'm definitely on board representing you and putting forth everything that you do. So that's amazing. That's amazing. Ben, you got the last question for her. I don't want to keep
Well, I will do that right now. My last question is, what is your dream for autistic individuals like myself?
I would love for us to just have a world where people understand like what autism is, so that all autistic people, and what I mean that, but what autism is, I want that comes with the nuances of the fact that it is different for each and every single autistic person. There's not any one unified autistic experience. We all have different skills. We all have different abilities. We all have different sensory needs and profiles. We all have different limitations to when it comes to where we reach our capacity for overload and we have to go remove ourselves from the situation, take a break. And I would love for us to live in a place where there wouldn't be so many assumptions out there, because right now all we have is stereotypes or very narrow representation that is, it doesn't accurately depict the diversity that we have with autistic people. It's a very blank picture compared to what really is going on. And so I think if people really understood that, it would be better for all autistic people, because it's like not just meeting the stereotype of autism, you're meeting an individual person one-to-one.
Exactly.
I think it would be cool to do more of these things, Jamel, because I told Christa we're going to do a conference in January, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. More details to come, everybody.
I had to put that plug in there, that shameless plug.
Nice.
I told you, Ben, how it is. Ben's the man. He knows the opportunity, knocks on it, and he takes it. So, that concludes, unfortunately, the interview with you. There's so much to unpack about you. But we normally say, some real encouraging words. Ben, do you want to go first? Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I just want to say, I know it's Friday night, guys, and I'm sorry I couldn't be here tonight. I had another commitment with the Eagles Autism Challenge, which is tomorrow, which is this weekend coming up. So if you want to, Eagles Autism Challenge was started by Jeffrey Lurie. His brother has autism, and they want to take awareness to action, which is really, really cool. I'm just saying this, but Dallas is no good, but I like to go Eagles.
Wait a second. We didn't ask you. Do you like football?
No, not really at all. What
Good
kind of
answer.
Texan
Good
am I,
answer.
right, though?
It was either the Eagles or I don't like football. So great answer. You saved yourself. You see, always thinking ahead. I see you. You always thinking ahead. I like that. Well, we are privileged to have had you for this interview, to get your perspective out there, to get your name out there, to get your face out there, because people need to hear your name, see your face, put two to two together, and go towards your page. Matter of fact, can you state to the audience how they can reach you, where they can find you, your page, your everything, your information?
Yeah, so probably the easiest thing, honestly, because it's all in one place, is my website, and that's neurodivergentrebel.com. And everything is on there. There's links to all the social media.
Can you send me a text or like an email, or Kaylee can put it in there in the chat?
Yeah, I can email that over. So you have
Yeah,
it.
we'll get that.
Make it easy. Then we don't have to type it in.
Definitely. Well, we want to thank you for taking the time out your schedule to actually record with us.
Thank you for having
One
me.
thing I do want to say is that in the midst of all the challenges that you have been through and what you will come in contact with, because there will be some challenges, note that you have people over here that love you, that pray for you, and want you to be loved like how you want to be loved. That's the major point. We want you to just continue to be yourself and not change for a world that's not perfect, if you get my drift, So you definitely have family over here. We love you, the Ben and Jay Show, the awesome show, whatever we can do to help you, we got you. And everybody, we are out. I'm Jay. That's
Fly,
Ben.
Eagles, fly. Have a nice night, everybody.
That's the Rebel right there.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Everybody.
Thank you.